All right, so today's topic in our unit Cells and Systems is topic 5, which is cell specialization and organization. All right, so specialized cells. So we, as multicellular organisms, we have different kinds of cells which are organized in ways that help them to do their jobs. So that's what it means to be specialized. So they are unique, they're different cells that have different appearances, and they're going to be performing different jobs, basically meaning they're going to have different functions from each other. So think of like a brain cell compared to the heart cell, compared to your blood cell, right? They're all specialized for their job. So cells are specialized for particular tasks, and humans have about 100 different types of cells, each with its own particular structure and function. So here we can see 4 different types of cells here. 2 of them are like animal cells, and then 2 of them are plant cells. So first one here, this is a nerve cell. This one here that kind of branches out and has this long branch right there. That's a nerve cell. So nerve cells have long branched fibers that run from the main part of the cell, and the function of that is to carry nerve signals from one part of the body to another. All right, so think about, for example, in a giraffe, right? They have that really long neck. A nerve fiber in the neck of a giraffe can be up to 1 meter in length. The next one here, that's a red blood cell. And they have a unique shape here. It's a very thin disc shape. And the reason for that is to give it a large surface area to pick up large amounts of oxygen, right? Because our red blood cells are carrying oxygen in our blood. Next, we have, these are the xylem cells we talked about when we were looking at plant and transport in plants. So xylem cells in plants, they're tube-like, right? They kind of look like drinking straws. They have thick walls. They have holes to allow water to pass easily through them. So from the ends there. All right, so that's the xylem, which is the water-conducting plant cell. And then here we have an onion skin cell. They're very flat, brick-shaped to fit together and to form a protective layer. Right, these are some more specialized cells. This first one here, A, this is a bone cells, for example, in the leg. These are muscle cells. C, these were the nerve cells, specifically nerve cell in the toe. This was a muscle in the arm. This is red blood cells in the heart. And then E, this is the skin on your head. All right, so advantages of being multicellular. So first of all, let's look here at unicellular organisms. They have to be able to carry out all the functions needed to stay alive. So they have to be able to move, obtain their food, reproduce, respond to the environment, grow, and produce waste. We know that unicellular organisms, they cannot grow very large. And also, unicellular organisms, they have to take in all of their materials, all the nutrients and everything through their cell membrane. So therefore, they can only live and survive in watery, food-rich surroundings. Multicellular organisms, on the other hand, we can live in a wide variety of environments. We are able to grow very large. So think about like the whale, the Douglas fir tree. Multicellular organisms or animals can also obtain their energy from a wide variety of foods, right? Like as humans, we can eat a huge variety of foods. Our bodies are more complex, and therefore specialized cells are able to work more efficiently at their particular function. So instead of one cell trying to do all the jobs, we have specialized cells, and those cells are their structure and everything is adapted so that they are able to perform their function more efficiently. Cell organization. So we talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the unit. In multicellular organisms, specialized cells of a similar kind, they're going to work closely together and they're usually grouped together. And these groups of specialized cells, they work in harmony with other groups. So cells with the same structure and function are going to get grouped into tissues. And then groups of different tissues form organs. And then organs work together in systems. And then systems work together to form the organism. And that's the arrangement of cells, and that's the level of organization that we see. So it's cells to tissues to organs to systems. So those are our levels of organization in living things. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about some tissues in the body, in the human body compared to in plants. So tissues is a group of similar cells having the same structure and function. So here the first type we have is called connective tissue. So connective tissue, it supports and connects different parts of the body. For example, blood, it's a connective tissue. Fat, cartilage, bones, and tendons are all part of connective tissue. Next we have epithelial tissue. This type of tissue, it covers the surface of the body as well as the outside of the organs. It also lines the inside of some of our organs, such as our intestines. All right, so that is epithelial tissue. Next is nervous tissue. This makes up the brain, the spinal cord, and our nerves. And then we have muscle tissue. That's what allows us to move. There's one type of muscle tissue that allows us to move our body. Then we have a cardiac muscle tissue. That's specifically for the heart, which allows the pumping of the blood through the heart. And then we have smooth muscle, which moves food along our digestive tract and our intestines. All right, so 3 different types of muscle tissue. Skeletal muscle, that allows us to move our body, the cardiac for heart, and then the smooth muscle found in our digestive tract and our intestines. Next, we're looking at the plant tissues here. So these are the main types of tissues that are found in plants. First here is the epidermal tissue. This is the skin. We kind of saw that when we were looking at the leaves of plants. So this epidermal tissue, it protects the outside of the plant. Next, we have the xylem tissue. So just like we've discussed before about xylem, these are the vessels that transport water that's absorbed by the roots, and it transports it throughout the plant. And then we have the phloem tissue, which transport the food, which is the sugar. So they transport the glucose, or that sugar that's made in the leaves by photosynthesis, to all the other parts of the plant. All right, so just looking a little bit closer at the tissues in plants. Here we're looking at a leaf. So these are the tissues and cells of the leaf. So at the very top here, we have that cuticle. It's like the protective tissues. So this and this layer here, it's like a waterproof layer. It protects the plant. All right, so we see it on top and on the bottom. Next we have are the photosynthetic tissues, shown here in the middle. That's where photosynthesis occurs. So sunlight is captured to produce sugar that the plant uses for energy. And then the transport tissues here. The phloem transports food, the xylem transports water. So these are the tube-like cells with the hollow center. Keep in mind here also we see the stoma and the guard cell to allow for gas exchange as well as transpiration. All right, on the right side, top right, we have the stem, tissues and cells of the stem. So again, you're going to see the phloem and the xylem. Phloem for transport of sugars, which is the food, and xylem for transport of water. We also see protective tissues. Again, it's a waterproof layer. It's for protection of the plant. The transport tissue, which is the xylem and phloem. And then stored tissues here as well. which support the plant as well as storing food. And then lastly down here we have the root. This is the tissues and cells of the root. So again, it still has that protective tissue, which does allow for absorption of water from the soil. The transport tissue here in the center, which consists of the xylem and phloem. And then we also have that storage tissue for storage of food. Just another note here, we can see a root hair coming off of that root for increased surface area to be able to absorb more water and nutrients from the soil. This was just a find out activity in the textbook. So let's see how good your memory is. So next we're looking at organs. So organs, these are a group of different tissues that work together to perform a specific function. So for example, the heart would be an organ. It would be part of the circulatory system. The stomach would be another organ. It would be part of the digestive system. So here in this diagram here, we can see the stomach and how it's made up of different tissues. So the stomach is made up of muscle tissue, which allows the stomach to move, to mix the contents of the stomach. We have the epithelial tissue, that's what lines the stomach. There's connective tissue, that's what holds the shape of the stomach. And then there's the nerve tissue. That's going to coordinate activities. It's going to send signals to your brain when you're hungry, when you're full, and so on. Right, so next we get into systems. So a system, it's a collection of parts that work together in such a way that a change in one part can result in a change in another part. So in plants, plants have fewer systems than animals do. They normally just have the two main systems. There's the root system. That's the part that's below ground. That's the part that obtains water and minerals from the soil. It also anchors the plant to the ground. And then we have the shoot system, which is above ground. So it includes the stems and the leaves. And that's where photosynthesis occurs to make food for the plant. And sometimes, at times, flowering plants will also have a third system for reproduction, and that will include flowers, fruits, and seeds. Okay, and it's above ground here. Reproductive system includes flowers, fruit, and seeds. So here is a fruit. It will have seeds inside.